Women who went from a low Shrek's drive to a high Shrek's drive. What happened? Hi Reddit guys. Subscribe now, or I will ask you for a date. I hit my 40s and oh my god. Looking at my wife. Any minute now. I'm looking at this guy's wife also. LOL. Thanks for the gold. It's my first. I also choose this guy's wife. My Phil warned me years in advance, and holy free holies, I felt like I needed to install bed rails just so I'd have something to hold on to. A woman in her 40s is, active. I went through some sort of second puberty. My Shrek's drive isn't super high, but had no real interest in Shreks until I was 24ish. Oh hey, another late bloomer. I thought I was a Shrek shul or something till 20ish. Just didn't really like to think about it. Then one day, happening across some saucy online content, something just snapped. I wasn't a very healthy teen, and started getting more fit once I moved out of my parents' house around that time, so that may have had something to do with it too. Or that I'm just not super in touch with my body in general. Kinda was the same for me. Started at 24. Although that's also when I got my thyroid hormones in check, but it started even before my treatment. Never knew what everyone was talking about. Why'd you ever need Shreks? Man, I was so wrong. I could do it 24/7 now. I accidentally triggered a hypermanic episode which led to hyper-Shreksuality. And then I got diagnosed with bipolar 2. Womp womp. The worst part was my husband had gotten used to my lower Shrek's drive and wasn't necessarily pleased with me trying to jump on his dong 24/7. Hypermanic hyper-Shreksuality sucks. I accidentally triggered a hypermanic episode. What is this? You can think of hypomania as something in between a full manic episode and a normal elevated mood. To illustrate, a manic episode can result in things like taking an impromptu road trip across 6 states without stopping to sleep or stabbing your best friend. A hypermanic episode might be shopping spree that you really can't afford or shoplifting when that's not something you would typically do. And a normal elevated mood would be having a spontaneous dance party in the middle of the grocery store. Obviously these are just examples and not something everyone who has these experiences does. But they are real examples from people I've known personally. Here is an interesting twist to this. Bipolar type 2. Diagnosed 10 years ago. Serious head injury circa 7 years ago. No cycles since. Last senior consultant I saw removed the bipolar from my record. I am stuck in between a slightly elevated and hypermanic mood. I'm always happy with some impulse control issue. That is my default mood. Regardless of circumstances. Head injuries are not to be messed with. Stopped birth control then got pregnant. My real hormones are honey, apparently. Got an IUD after having a baby. Slightly lower Shrek's drive. Got it removed. Shrek's drive through the roof again. I'm in between getting my IUD replaced and I forgot hormones were a thing for the last 3 years practically. I didn't realize how much it affected my hormones until it was gone. Just chiming in to recommend researching and taking to you doctor about a copper IUD. Copper IUDs don't use hormones to prevent pregnancy and as a result they don't impact your mood or Shrek's drive. Periods tend to be a bit more uncomfortable with one. But for what it's worth my wife is quite happy with the trade-off herself. Copper IUDs are a great option for avoiding hormones. Heavier periods and worse cramps are common side effects. When you're on BC half for pregnancy prevention and have because of horribly heavy periods and vomit-inducing cramps. Not so much. All roughly around the same time, my youngest finally stopped waking me up at night. My husband got a vasectomy, switched antidepressants, and I lost weight. This is like a combo of every other answer LOL. If it's not too personal, would you mind sharing a bit about your switch in antidepressants? I'm currently taking sertraline and it has killed my Shrek's drive and ability to orgasm. Sertraline helps my mood greatly, but damn I miss a healthy Shrek's life. I went from high to low then high again with the same husband. I had low Shrek's drive after first kid, got it back after our second kid was 2. We were still having Shreks, but not often, like once every few weeks. but it wasn't something I was excited about. My husband asked me about it, but he understood, both tired, kids, other things etc. We went like this for 3 or 4 years. Then one year I made New Year's resolution. For myself. I mean, it might sound weird, but I love good statistics. To get 3-digit Shreks times per year. Meaning to have regular Shreks minimum 2 times a week. And I stuck to that. I needed to have Shreks regularly. It reminded me how much I liked it. Was hard to find time first weeks. But then I got into this rhythm and now started 3rd year with actually having Shreks often, and I enjoy it so much. Sometimes even few times per day. My Shreks drive had always been fairly high, then life threw me a hell of a curveball and my Shreks drive amongst other things tanked. I finally dealt with some health issues I had been ignoring for years. Basically got my health back on track and started losing weight. Once the weight started coming off, my Shreks drive came back. I met and fell in love with someone who likes making me orgasm. I no longer feel like I'm not worth the extra effort. This right here. My ex was always focused on getting himself off and Shreks would end when he did. My current man makes sure I am taken care of before he finishes. A man that wants to make you feel good in all ways deserves you. Some of us fellas were raised with the ladies come first. Also nice guys finish last. Actual nice guys. That is one of my favorite flirting jokes to say before I got my recently gained confidence, since the joke is open enough to interpretation that it doesn't feel like bragging, more just like saying I'll put in the work. I have to be careful about how, when I say it, because of nice guys. Received therapy and counseling to heal from the Shrek trauma I endured as a child. Seeking help was the best decision I ever made. I now have a rewarding Shrek's life when I never thought that would be possible before. Thank you for sharing. As someone struggling with similar issues of my own, this gives me hope. Same, except that my childhood trauma wasn't Shrek in nature. Healing my trauma and building a stronger sense of self through therapy and other lifestyle changes to care for myself are the things that made my libido awaken. Same. I thought that I had a physical issue because I was in my 20s and I no longer wanted to have Shreks with my partner. The relationship was unhealthy, so we broke things off eventually. When I met the recent man I dated, my Shrek's drive skyrocketed. I forgot that I could feel so Shrekishly attracted to a person. I realized it was never a physical issue, it was a mental, emotional one. I like to have Shreks with someone that pleases me on an emotional level more than anything. So I would have to say that the chemistry and bond I have with a person when no Shreks is involved would be the biggest factor in what makes me want it and what makes it so great. I met my husband. Amazing what a change of relationship does for your Shrek's drive, isn't it? I thought there was something wrong with me with my ex. My Shrek's drive was basically zero. Met my current so and boy did that change. It really does depend on the person you're with. Oh god, now I'm worried. Lately my SO just doesn't seem to have any drive and I'm so worried it's me and I'd hate to lose this amazing person. But I want her to live a happy life. I just don't know what's up. Just talk to her about it. Open and honest communication is always the best decision. Cut out the rumination. Definitely worth asking about what's up. Just don't make it a fight or accuse her of anything, because that doesn't go well. I found erotica novels. Great stories with drama, feuds, struggle, and war. Build up in relationships and good character development. Then high quality Shrek scenes that aren't catered to men like penis. Much more satisfying. Then, you keep reading for the story, only to come across another Shrek scene and you're suddenly in the mood again. Never thought of that, although erotic short stories work big time for me. Any titles you want to recommend? I'd like to know too, please. I don't have any short stories and my tastes are a little particular, so you likely won't like them, aha. There's a fair few with darker themes. But here are my favorites. XXXXXX. Gabriel's Inferno by Sylvain Reynard. Slight enemies to lovers. Romance. Erotica. Probably one of my favorites. Not so much erotica. Shrek's other books. and more so about the art of love and seduction. Then some more classy Shrek scenes. It's more so about the build up and anticipation. More for romance lovers with a hint of spice. XXXXXX. Bared to you by Sylvia Day Romance. With good drama and story. Very good series. Both have dark pasts that they have to overcome together. They are both flawed, but learn to trust and open up to each other. Along with great Shrek scenes. XXXXXX. Legally Yours by Nicole French romance with good Shreks and romance. Good Shrek scenes, romance, and drama. He is rich and arrogant, but he also doesn't know what he is doing and is trying. He gets nervous around her sometimes and this isn't really something we see in erotica, so it's a nice change. I like their story, and the smut. XXXXXX. Southern Charmer by Jessica Peterson. Full sweet romance. Gentleman. Nice storyline. More of a romance with good Shreks. He isn't an arrogant rich bastard. He is a good man who you root for. Stand alone with little drama. Just enough to give it some background and story. XXXXXX. Innocence by Lisa Vino. Dark themes. Enemies to lovers. A dark mafia romance. Shreks. More about dominance and slightly forced submission at the start. Infuriated me a bit at some points, but ended up loving it in the end. XXXXXX. Twist Me by Anna's Eyes. Very dark. Kidnapping, dubious consent, sadism, etc. Not for everyone, but if you like this kind of fantasy, kink, then you'll like it. XXXXXXX. Warlord by Delta James. Very dark again. Misogynistic themes. Forced submission and punishment of women. You will only like it if you enjoy the kink. Contains lots of spanking. Difficult to read unless you like the kink or are in the mood. XXXXXX. Caged by Clarissa Wilde. Good. He is a prisoner and has been kidnapped to be his woman, mate. Darker themes, but good story and Shreks. Romance scenes despite circumstances. XXXXXX. Georgia Le Carre has a lot of decent erotica novels too. Different stories and mostly standalones. They're fast reads too. Can't fishish them in a day. I started with her after reading 50 Shades, my first erotica, and she is good. Lots of options for beginners. I've been getting the impression that my wife would like me to be more spontaneously romantic. This struck me now as possibly some good material to draw from. Would you recommend men to read some of these to get in touch with their romantic side? Okay Reddit guys, subscribe now, or I will ask you for a date.